Okay, so good morning again. So you asked for the font to be larger so you can see more in the back. So we've done that, so it is a bit larger. Also, the this presentation is being emailed to all of you as well. So you may have already been sent or it's started. We'll be on its way sometime this morning. Now this so you still can't see it. So you're squinting. You can't make it out. Okay. So this topic today is very much so in line with what we'll be discussing later today on the subject of gender and corruption. And there's two reasons why I wanted to get into this. One was for the subject matter itself. You know, is there something to it about gender having more females in higher positions in government, and in the private sector as well, for that matter, will lead to automatically lead to less corruption. That's worth examining in and of itself. But also, I'm interested in this topic. This is a great opportunity, rather, to underscore the importance of people in leadership positions being critical consumers of knowledge, as opposed to being so readily accepting knowledge as being, claims to knowledge as being correct rather than possibly spurious or bogus. Because you might be just you can be cunning enough and what do you call it, ruthless enough to get to a leadership position, but those skill sets don't necessarily prepare you to be a critical consumer of knowledge. Because as a leader, you're going to have so much information that comes coming across your desk, and to talk about discussing how to mobilize resources, how to direct, human talent, and the population, the people in general. You're going to have to be able to sort through all of that knowledge and see what is real and see what is bogus and see how to proceed. So this is an exercise in that as much as anything. So what I would say is that when it comes to this idea about the fairer sex, just off the bat, immediately, I'm very suspicious of any claim about biological determinism. That biology determines people's social behavior and their capabilities. Because part of my inclination at the outset will be what happened, historically. People of African descent were regarded as being, intellectually inferior and morally corrupt based upon some, pseudoscience of biological determinism. For that matter, what happened with Jewish population in the Third Reich regime was another illustration of that. And there are many other examples also throughout history where biological determinism was used as a basis for explaining differences in behavior. Get another technical check up there, I think. Okay. So that's one thing there. So just off the bat, who knows? Maybe there's some scientific evidence to that. So we leave our minds open. But as a leader, you want to be being a leader requires being historically rooted. And that could also help position you to be suspicious about, certain claims to knowledge about how to proceed. That's one thing there. Also, there's this idea about, in fact, there's a guy, Lawrence Summers. Lawrence Summers was the Treasury Secretary in the U.S., counterpart to the speaker who was on TED Talk this morning. He was also World Bank, maybe the World Bank president. And he said that, he said a couple of things that was really stupid. One thing he said was crazy was that he said that Africa is under environmentally, has received less than its share of environmental degradation. That looking at the square miles, millions of square miles per citizen, that the Africa could stand to have more environmental degradation. So we can take some environmental, byproducts, toxic byproducts, and get it into Africa as long as Africans are paid for it economically. That was one stupid thing. But I forgot about that one. I remember why I brought him up was to get to this stupid argument. This is when he was president of Harvard. When he said that the reason why there are far fewer female scientists is because of biology. You would think that one of the most celebrated universities in the world have the president of the university to make such a claim is stunning. But again, this is biological determinism speaking. So we say this to say that women are because of some feminist gender essentialism would explain why women are more altruistic. I'm cautious about that. To say nothing about the evidence itself, but just starting with biological determinism premise, kind of cause for some concern. Another thing here is that again, because it's like I say, that studies are hardwired and can't be changed. Also, so the thing that we can look at though is that when we look around the world, we don't find this to be a universal outcome. In some places, you do find females who are less corrupt, but it's not universal. And there's studies like the one that I cited here. Again, this is being sent to you. This presentation, you'll see one of those studies is where it looked at different countries and ran certain experiments, and it illustrates that there are these differences across space. So there's that one. Another reason why we should be suspicious of this claim. So what I'm continuing though, by and large, is that to the extent that there are differences though, it could be just simply due to culture. Cultural conditioning rather than biological determinism. So it is true that throughout, for much of human history, females have been more nurturing and more subservient than males. That is a fact. But it's not, biologically determined. It's being more culturally conditioned, is what's being said. But what we are witnessing today was the sort of, revolutionizing, if you will, of feminine culture. This more than likely is not going to be the case in the future. Females in general are not going to be as subservient and could also very well not be as nurturing as they have been historically. Okay. Now, there's the good of that, the bad of that, the ugly of that. Will have to be simply dealt with, but these things are actually changing. So for me, it's like I'm looking at this gender corruption dynamic in motion over time, as opposed to just taking a snapshot and then trying to universalize that. Also, is that what we're finding is that as feminine culture is changing, those changes are actually being embedded in institutions, and those institutions are likely to provide some, some reinforcement, and also to help make it, I don't want to say permanent, like make it hardwired, but make it such that it's likely to continue for a long period of time. As we say here, that women are also becoming as ambitious. I'm trying to put my mic there. As ambitious and as what do we say here? As competitive as men. What I tell for me is that what I would recall growing up in Florida, in my neighborhood, the most rough person as our Maybe I can just hold this. Let me just do that. Thanks. Okay, great. Yeah, what I'm saying, what I was going to say though is that when I was a kid growing up in Florida, in our neighborhood, we have this one female, and she was by far the most ruthless person in the neighborhood. Her name, I never forget her name, was Cassandra Clark. She was the only child. Her father definitely wanted a boy. And he was separate. I thought, even as a kid, I knew something was wrong with that. Why would a parent tell his daughter about how he wished that she was a boy? That is, there was something wrong with that. It sounds like she sort of like internalized that and wanted to do things in terms of pleasing her father. This would be psychoanalyzing. This might not have been the case, but my interpretation was that she was doing all the things that she thought boys would do, and but just took it to the extreme. All the guys were afraid of Cassandra. Because of that. So what I'm saying though, that for me, that's what also is a great example about how you can look at culture and how its power to shape individuals. And then give another side. Like there was this, the United Nations in New York, when the diplomats here, like you're a diplomat, multiple countries here. Those who are in Washington now, or at least until 2002, you had this, we have diplomatic immunity, but when it comes to parking, and parking is tough in New York, as you can imagine, right? That's why people don't even drive, don't even own cars, but these diplomats, they're driving around their BMWs and Mercedes and all that. When it comes to parking, they would violate parking. They get a parking ticket. They say, "Oh, please, diplomatic immunity, just throw it away." It meant nothing. But what a study conducted found that the countries that are listed as the 15th most corrupt, according to Transparency International, they had the most parking violations. And also, the countries that were the least corrupt had the least parking violations. And they were kind of, from that study, they were kind of, concluding that, showing the power of culture, that in their respective home countries, in other words, they acted in this new place, in this new environment, in a way that was consistent as they had acted in their home countries. And furthermore, when the law changed such that diplomats would lose their parking immunity, in other words, they lose their license plate that says diplomat, their behavior changed significantly. So again, the biggest to me as a sociologist, I understand the importance of culture and how it can shape people's behavior, significantly. We as individuals, we have individual characteristics, which is great, and all of that. But for me, the thing is that if I can learn enough about you in terms of some demographic information, I can do a pretty good job of predicting where people are going to end up in terms of some of their thinking and behaviors. Again, the power of culture. So let's see what else we have on this slide. This idea that what men have. Well, here's something else though. You can say, okay, guys, I hear you, and I kind of see where you're going with this. But what about crime? Don't you find more men committing crime than women? Isn't that true? Yeah. Well, I mean, in fact, it is very true. I mean, throughout the world, you're going to find more men committing crimes than women. Okay, look up there. I said why? They fails to do it. They fails to do it. We have the mics back there. I think she was first here. With your hand up. Yeah.
Too much, too much for
you said she started behaving like a boy. So who determines that? Why did you know that she was behaving like a boy? So society defined rules and regulations and set standards for us. Like this is for girls and that is for boys. So it's this society saying that this is how boys should behave. So why would you say that he's behaving like a girl or she is behaving like a boy? So this has standard that society sets for boys to behave like that and then girls behaving like that. So like also coming from the sociological perspective like that, and the society, how society determining that this is how a boy should look like. Or this is how a girl. So you ask yourself, why do you think you're a boy or why do you think you're a girl? So and it's not just because of your physical appearance, just that, but society tells you that you're a boy. And so you have to accept that. So, and so, all this stuff, people see that they like, why do you think that you're a boy? Is it just a physical, I have eyes, you have eyes, you have this, you have this, but society has so much influence on that. Society determines a lot of things. Society has so much influence on that, determining, look at the nature of the negative. Has so much influence determining that indeed this is how the male should look like and behave like and the female should behave like.
So there's the point. I think so there's this idea about we call it social construction because gender these are socially constructed categories and was sort of defining attributes in terms of what's expected and what's and you can be rewarded for following the rules, you can be penalized for following the rules. But I'm just saying it seems to me that it was her interpretation that this is how boys should behave. That's what I'm saying. She was believing that.
Because for society have that kind of perspective, how boys should behave and how girls should behave. So when the mother says that I wish we were a boy, then you have to look at what society actually thinks how the boy should behave.
Right, so you're making my point for me though. In terms of the fact that I say these things are changing so much so that it's not going to be the case in the future. And that's something a lot of people are uncomfortable because you have some, I had a senior colleague at the university, a female professor, and she was saying that she was trying to teach, she taught a course one time on, gender, had women in the title, women in gender studies, let's say. And she was trying to basically teach there that the problem with women today is that they don't know how to act like women. And it was a throwback to another century. And she was sort of cashier after that. She wasn't how to teach the course, again. Because again, there's that so this change is going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. But it's an inflatable force that's moving forward, irrespective of what she may think or what I may think. This is happening, and I can see it as like it is fraught with all sorts of excellent possibilities that we can actually benefit from, nonetheless. I still here right here.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, so I'm glad she agrees to the fact that it makes she agrees to some extent that culture is very important here. I'll say that I'm a proud member of the International Men's Rights Movement, and I am proud of it. Now, the fact is this, that in the early 80s, late 80s to the 90s, you saw massive women's rights movement and feminism, the term feminist began to the rise in the early 90s, even till today. A lot of people call themselves as feminists. Now, the fact is that because of this human rights movement in lobbying, feminist movement in lobbying, a lot of women in the society have begun to have a cultural reorientation of their roles. And they have now determined the fact that they have to transcend leadership from their home and family to a higher level. And because of that, you find some women even wearing the shift, clothing of leadership. And they get out there and they mess up, seriously. I'll give you an example of Gloria Arroyo of Philippines. She came at the point where Philippines needed a dynamic leader. And she came on board and trust me, Gloria Royal has been terrible at this. But the fact is that it is bad. What I found wrong is to find out and say women are good at leadership. We cannot condemn that. The fact that women are the best leaders, we cannot say that. The fact that men have been terrible, these are culturally dependent. Women are not naturally leaders. They are not naturally good at leadership. It is nurtured. And culture is what it's okay. So you find yourself where women activists, feminism is growing, you find women being culturally nurtured, and they feel that, well, we need to take up those roles. Just to take up those roles, at least it doesn't define them as perfect leaders. So we should do this. Thank you. I think I will ask the mic, please. Keep talking. Okay, for me, the debate about gender is already come to the back of men and women. I think that we don't have many statistics in Africa about our culture and the fight of women in the leadership. We must do some studies to choose our African way to deal with women in the leadership. That's the best problem. The people coming from the United States, from the European Union, they say that women should. What Africans are saying about women, that's a cultural aspect. So we must choose as African youth what will be the position in our continent about women. It's not about fight. It's not about the women are good or men are bad. We are together and we can collaborate to grow up a new Africa. That's the big deal for me. Okay, so don't be about the
Okay, let me get something across it though. So we heard the word. So I would use the term, feminism. That's a body of thought, but it's not a harmonious body of thought. It varies, there are different types of feminists for that matter, of all categories, all stripes. You got some category of feminists that actually just conclude that all men are the enemy. But that's not all of feminism. Very much so. So let's be mindful of the fact that we need to get the term feminism doesn't mean it's not like some advocacy about that females are superior to men, or that men are the enemy and all men are corrupt. All men want to put women down. That's not the feminism in toto. It's much more complicated and more diverse than that. Yeah. Okay. Over here.
Thank you very much. The issue of women being good leaders and others. Well, Africa had the way of making good use of women in our leadership structure and others. But the preaching started from the West. Give more women power, give them chances and others. But one thing Africa is not doing is, whenever these pastors of the word preach to us, we don't look at what they do. Those who are preaching, give women chance. How many women are they giving their chance? Now Rwanda has the highest percentage of women in parliament. Europe is nowhere near. America nowhere near. But Rwanda or the whole Africa is not where these people are. So if you think that women are that good to care, America was set up for Africa to have the highest number of female parliamentarians. America wouldn't do that. So it's about time we Africans, as I said in our first opinion, that we look at anything they preach to us, let's look at what they are doing and do same, if possible. Because if women are that good, America will not set up for Africa to have 7 female presidents in the partner. So let's think about that. Thank you.
No, you're confused.
So let me respond to this. So the thing I want to say was that thank you. Yeah, so the thing is that rather than, at least for me anyway, you obviously as independent thinkers, you think as you wish. But for me, the way I approach this is around, here we are as some 7 or so billion people, on the planet. And how do we make best use of everybody's talent so that all of humanity benefits from that? And we respect the rights of every individual. That's to me, that's where I start from. And that's kind of seems to me create societies, whether it's in Africa, the United States, or wherever the place may be. Let's create societies that actually remove barriers that block individuals' progress. Because each of us has certain endowed talents that vary, and a lot of us never get a chance to experience what those talents are. Because we're so impoverished, and there are so many obstacles in our way that it never comes to fruition. There's only a lot of affluent people with very modern and very specialized, institutions that allow for them to experience their sort of God-given talents as well. So if you have a society that tries to take half the population and prevents them from being successful, you're holding back your overall society. You're not going to be what it could be. That's the point. And so for me, you see, when it comes to, if somebody wants to make a criticism of the United States, you see, I don't get defensive about it. One thing, I know the United States has a lot of issues and problems to be sorted well. So you critique the United States, I might want to join you in the critique. So I'm not being offended by that. Because I'm just trying to get to solutions. And so I hear some people might get a little bit defensive about saying, hey, just leave Africa alone. Get out of our country, get out of our country. And again, I don't even get offended by that. Because my thing is, again, is that how do we make it such that we improve the lives and chances of every person on the planet? That's what I'm going to do. So hand here. I'm sorry, here.
Thank you. I want to express my point of view. I think that is not because of this ideology come from the Western Union. It come from Western country that we have to cancel it. We have to think. Africa is not a closed part in this world. We have to think about it. We have to associate, to give to the women the right place. When you look at well in our society, is the man who controls the means, all means of production. Fight against poverty. The development of Africa cannot be attained if we not associate the woman, the sustainable development for a we have to associate the woman. When we take in the rural areas, when we take in the rural areas, if we say that is a man who has a smoke, we will realize that is a woman who did all things. The woman who did all things. And the man go to blind there and come in the rural areas, is the woman who control the economic power. The economic power is the hand of the woman. The biological and we have to cancel the biological ideology.
Yeah, I want to say though that when you talk, I say it's important that because just like some of you saying you might have a hard time hearing me with understanding music with an accent maybe. Apparently you said something that was really beautiful and resonated. A lot of people got excited, but I'm sorry, I didn't think so of course it was lost for me. So everyone.
Yeah. I think for a little amount of years that we live on earth, and based on my historical experience back in Europe, I believe that African men as a whole, if like the whole world, as youth culture, to create the balance between the male and female, to have prominence for female. But based on my orientation from Liberia, I realized that, like my brother said, women cannot be the best and all of this and things that I believe women can be the best, better than men. It depends on the opportunity. Now, if you check the corner of Liberia history, you notice that like, women have contributed immensely to our history, from the very foundations of the slave coming to Liberia, the shore of Liberia, to the facing of our flag, and learning to the independence. Women have played a very significant role in our history. So I believe it's just a matter of opportunity given to them to go, and they will prove the capability. Take for instance, we have a situation. I have a lady in our history that I really admire most, and I tell her she's my best leader. She's anti-bushra. This lady was a husband. She was married to one of the lawmakers at the time. And there was a historian, a female historian in the country called Evelyn. So this guy decided to divorce this woman on ground that she's not educated, to marry a historian, a female historian. But take this for them. They stated did not see this situation as a means of breaking up. She saw it as a challenge. Actually, both decided to go to school because her husband left her for school, but because she was not educated, she went back to school. And guess what happened? She ended up being the first black female president of the General Assembly ever of the United Nations. To the extent, when her former husband became Speaker of the House, and when she was come to visit Liberia, the president didn't announce her name. He only announced that we have a guest. And being a speaker, you have to welcome the guest. So the stage was set for her former husband to welcome her. So I believe if we get rid of culture and give the opportunity, these people can prove their best. Thank you.
Let me try to go into the next slide here and bring some of this. Well, hold on a second. Okay, you can that's what the data on. Let me do this. So, you say give it a culture. You say give it a culture? Okay. Okay, well, I'm going to say give it a culture, because you're just saying that. Right. Yeah, I'm sure you need to mean that, of course. Yeah. Okay. That's like saying give it a there. You can't give it a there. Let's say, anyway, this thing about, okay, cultural, and I'm pretending here, cultural rather than biological explanations as to why we might see women being more, in general, more altruistic and less corrupt and engaging in less crime, than men. Rather than biology, culture. And but here's the thing, though. So women have been, historically more, rule abiding than men, and men have been more rule breaking. Okay? Now, but here's the thing, though. Remember we talked about it the first day on Monday. We talked about leadership was about, among other things, rule breaking. Yeah. And women have historically been outside the home and the local community. Women have been, in universally speaking, women have to say that no women obviously, but women have tended to be far less in leadership positions. And this whole thing about less willing to be rule breaking sort of was consistent with that. But increasingly now, in Africa also, women want to be in leadership positions much more broadly. If you look around this room, you see it's evident that's the case. So that being there, then you might be expecting women to be much more willing to break rules as well, and to be less rule abiding. I mean, it's something that's going to happen more. And so these women who are pursuing leadership now more ferociously, and are going to be in those positions and executing her responsibilities as leader, going to be raising daughters as well. They're going to imbibe that culture with that, and they're going to do it more so in the future as well. And by then, the institutions is going to be changing, expecting that and reinforcing that, and then her daughters, her granddaughters are going to have it even more so, is that's going to continue to spiral upward. And I'm not going to put I'm not saying you don't believe this, but I'm not going to put a hermetically sealed wall around Africa and say, okay, look, we're going to leave Africa, so we left out of that equation. That's just not going to happen. As we see here in this room here, and as I'm just witnessing, the enormous talent and the energy and the excitement of everyone here, was certainly the women. Are just easy to be in leadership positions. So they know they have some things that are special and are just driven to actually make as much a bigger contribution in their homeland and on the entire continent as they possibly can. I just think that's a beautiful thing. So the next thing here though is that when we say that women are much more likely to demonstrate altruistic and moral behavior than men, again, this is for cultural reasons, as I'm saying. It's like I can recall the first sub-Saharan African country, I figured out, that I visited was Zimbabwe, and my very good friends to this day, we talk all the time. He invested, he and his wife invested a lot of money in his son's education, but almost nothing went into the door. I was concerned with that, Now, I couldn't be in the guy's home and say, hey, this is bad, you shouldn't be doing this. Particularly back then when our friendship was just forming. But I just, I was uncomfortable with it. And his thing was that, what he said was that if he invests money in his daughter's education, that's like giving money to another family. Then I would go to some, meeting with his friends and sitting around at the bar and just talking about these things. But again, there's a cultural matter that was being expressed. That's what people actually, in this cocoon, that's what they thought. And it was not just, they were not the only, I say caveman subject, in other words, with those, paid kinds of views. It was more broader than that. And what I'm saying was that now it's very different. He understands it's different now. And he was saying that this idea as well about paying the Lola, you know that, right? Yes. You don't know? The bride wife? The dowry. Yeah, okay, thank you. Bride wife, thank you. That idea is that he was saying now that although he had got that for his daughter, again, there's an embarrassment about that, and don't want to see that happen with his granddaughter. So again, the cultures, are changing. Is the point that I'm making. But here's the thing, though, too. Okay, now look. But right now, though, women who are, let's say, not just professionals, but women who in all walks of life, who are, let's say, the workplace, they were raised in an environment, and by, in families like my friends that I mentioned from Zimbabwe, they came out of those environments, and there's a good chance that they were nurtured in a way to be more nurturing, and to be more rule-abiding. So it seems to me like maybe there might be something to it by actually studying, getting a better understanding of them culturally, and seeing how to preserve that which is useful in terms of as it relates to having less corruption going forward. And for that matter, having into taking on some of those characteristics as well. Now this word here, ex ante, means like the future, predicting a forecast of it. So to say that the feminine culture ex ante or feminine culture in the future, as well as the present culture, feminine culture looking across countries, um, again, point to the fact that it's not, biologically determined in terms of, gender and corruption. And then I think the last slide that I will have here, before I get to that last slide, you have been trying to say something.
Thank you very much. I'd like to say that I never said that women are the best leaders and men are the best leaders. We cannot say that for a fact, and it's not the right thing to say. The reason being that it is culture, as you just said, it is culture that defines leadership. It affects leadership and defines leadership in a way. Now, take for instance, a young boy grows up, and culturally, over 90% of young men are told it is wrong to cry. You have to be a man. If a lady beats you, don't be a lady back. Be the man. If you fall down on your head, you don't have to cry. You're a man. And as a young child, growing in that kind of environment and nurture, you grow with it. That you need to be strong in certain things. You need to take decisions. When a guy gives you back, you need to hit him back. That is manhood. That is maturity. The opposite is so for ladies. That hey, it's okay to cry. It's okay to, all this becomes in feminism. So if you learn that culture is molding these people in different regards, and these same people move on to leadership, and then there is not, we cannot make some of them are performing well, some of them are performing. Look, there are cases, statistics of women who are performing terribly. Even in the 80s, I can give you statistics of women in religion, women in missionary, women in organizations that messed up. As well, you can also have statistics of men who, so we cannot draw the ball and say, hey, at the end of the day, men are terrible, at the end of the day, women are good. It's all cultural things, and there's no need for this debate.
Thanks for that. So I'm gonna have, let's get it all in the end, we say there's no reason for the debate. Because again, we're learning something here. We're learning, among other things, about culture, and we're also learning this, the reinforcing the notion that, again, we need to be critical consumers of knowledge, is the point. Here, her.
Okay, first of all, I'm going to start with, I think you don't seem to notice us so much at the back, so
Thank you, I'm going to
this way. Thank you. I actually highlighted some points that I want to. First of all, I think that women can actually be both soft and hard. It depends. Naturally, we have a soft side, but you can incorporate all of that in leadership. That's one. So it's not just that women are meant to be all stuff, without the leadership roles. So we can have both of those characteristics in one. Then secondly, I think also that women can be leaders as well as followers.
Okay, actually, let's go along those lines. We say that women can be both soft and hard. What about men? Can men be soft and hard?
It's the soft part of the man that makes him to, we teach a lot about emotional intelligence. Now, it's the emotional intelligence part of the human.
Please.
Where the men are concerned, it's the emotional intelligence part that we need to develop more in the males. Because it's only when you can relate, connect, to those things that, for instance, you have in our homes, so men are autocratic. And then they feel that it's okay to come around the house and people scatter like rats. When you come into the atmosphere, some children just run away because they feel, oh, it's daddy. Daddy can be related to. But they feel more easy and free to talk to their mothers, than the fathers. That's the hard part of the man. And most men who, if you notice, and I think I've come to realize that from experience, that people who have learned over time in leadership roles like managing directors of organizations, you notice that the ones who are very learned, there's some level of connection that they have with you. They communicate better, they listen more. And when you tell them as a woman, look, you make me unhappy because you said this. The person is easy to say, oh, I'm sorry about that. You know, by leadership, by training, they get to empathize with women, to understand other people, which naturally, to me, I feel it doesn't come, for the men. They often just want to be male. They often just want to relate in a certain way that detaches from you. That's another point I want to make. Then, thirdly, I want to also say that, we must be ready to accord them as much opportunities as possible. That's for the women. And most of the failings of women, I'm going to read what I have here, then I will speak. Most of the failings of women should not be judged more harshly than the male. I'm going to cite a case. In Nigeria, back home, we have the first female speaker in the house. I think it was Patricia. What took her out of office was because, it was claimed that she stole money. That she had, there were a lot of fraudulent activities behind that. But at the end of the day, please excuse me, you can make your points much later. At the end of the day, you realize that part of the argument was that she was actually set up, and that, and that scenarios around suggest that it's actually the males around her that, make her, that give her the direction and the advice that she took. Now, I'm not even trying to rationalize the fact that probably there must have been some frauds.
Let's try to bring some order.
Can I continue? Okay, fine. So, sorry, I'm taking time because I need to emphasize this. So, it seems to be that women are judged more harshly when you get to leadership roles. There's just this thing, like we often just want to give them roles, just to justify the fact that we want to keep them from it. So you see, in the trend, it's becoming a general norm, like a woman gets up there. Now, there was one time, there was circulation on WhatsApp, and a message I got, and they said, we must get rid of this, it's a minister of Nigeria, a petroleum minister. Now, the system is corrupt. Males are corrupt, as much as the females. But when it gets to a woman being there, it seems like her own judgment is up there. They're like, okay, fine, we're not going to take this from a man. We can take this from a man. That's what the message said. We can take this from a man, but not from a woman. No, because she should know more. And I said, why should it be that when it comes to a woman, the expectation just goes high up there and becomes almost unreachable? But when it comes to the male, so I think the opportunity should be given to, it should be equal in such a way that people get out there, we should hold them accountable. It should be as equal as if you fail, and we need to judge you as a leader, not because you're male or female, not because, we shouldn't be harsh because it's a woman. The failures of a woman should not be judged more harshly than a man.
That time women were told that was an error. We were not in that situation.
Thank you very much. Let's go now.
Correct.
Practice from this track. African culture does not really permit women to be leaders. Right from onset, African culture does not permit women to be leaders. Correct. But now, we're able to bring in the Western world. They come into us, they sensitize us, they reorientate us, and they told us that there is inequality. You have to balance the two now. Now, remember those days, women don't vote. That brought up what's it called? Feminist. Yes, we have feminists. All because they are trying to fight for their rights. Now, women might be a better leader. Correct. Why? Because they've not given that chance before. Men are natural leaders. Now they are competing with men. They want to do things with men. So they want to set that pace that no. Let me give you an example. If women are actually leaders, let's say the scenario that happened in the Garden of Eden. Am I correct? Correct. In the Garden of Eden, God has actually created man to be the head. Correct. You know, it's like that. And the woman becomes the subordinate. But at the end of the day, who compromised? The woman.
Both of them.
No, Adam was not around.
They forced him.
Yes, because you have the power to, you understand? Yeah, to entice and to manipulate. So that's it. Naturally, right now they might be doing well. Just because they want to raise their shoulder with men. But it's not possible because we are naturally leaders.
Can you speak
We accepted our peace. We were not competing with anyone. And we started, if you go back in history, we were not competing with anyone. But it becomes a whole culture of being of religions. We are always at the receiving end. Take, for example, a culture that says that everyone doing her public flow would be should be placed outside. Yes. Men are entitled right. We women are like that. And don't get us wrong, it's not like we're competing. We're just asking for equal respect. Now, from what we've seen here, women are not very, men are well regulated, right? It means that there are some qualities and traits that you men possess and we women do not have. We have accepted that. And I believe that when we have shown to support each other, when we are excited about the culture, let's take our culture. Let's talk about our culture. Let's do our culture. Take for example, Cecilia Ibrahim did this. She said, every Nigerian, this is what she did. She was corrupt in this. But know that we should believe in each other. You will be able to come to us and say, yes, I know that this is Cecilia, I think I will not do that. By the time we form our own cultures here, we are we should not do that. I bet you that by the time we go back to our cultures, once we know we women have to do support, we cannot do that. Yes, if you are not placed in a place of position of power, the men, we can trust you that yes, we are going to take us there, we are going to be a progress in our society as well.
Or just one of you said, we're falling back on and as leaders on the continent, you know, our cultures are many, very, yes. Maybe the situation where you're coming from, yes, maybe their women are not allowed or not even encouraged to take leadership positions. Some of us on the continent are from cultures where indeed women do and have historically taken bold leadership positions. So when you fall on that as an argument, remember that it's flawed when you apply it to the whole of the continent and not your specific. Yeah, that's what I think.
Thank you very much. I'm not here to join into the debate. In as much as we have stated that we have to be critical when we use knowledge, the debate is fine, but I just want to put something in proper perspective. The argument about nature has never been won anywhere. There is no way we can do that argument as whether it is nature or nurture, and we will be able to determine who has won. I believe it is a combination of the two. Biologically and culturally, we have certain things that determine the disposition of both men and women. For example, biologically, I don't want us to forget the fact that we have different biologically, I believe we are all aware of the chromosomal differences. It is not for nothing that, for example, men will have more muscles than women. These are things we cannot change. So, biologically, our makeup gives men some predisposition and then give women some predisposition. In as much as I agree that our focus should be on culture because the gender is what society ascribes to us. But it shouldn't be the debate is about whether it is biologically determined or it is more culturally determined. We should always look at both aspects as a whole to be. And my point is that as society, our focus should be on how we can do proper research to understand what men are more predisposed to and what women are more predisposed to, and then we nurture them across that line so that we can collaborate and make society a better place.
Let me say this though, for instance, when I had it up here, nature versus nurture, it is a tagline. I'm not saying it's like, okay, we're gonna listen to this to find out whether one or the other. That's, that wasn't the point, right? The other thing too, though, is that when it comes to, our focus here is around leadership. All of you are leaders now, and you're even more of leadership quality and positions, in the future. We have that discussion. But we're trying to, what's being said here though is that biology is not a determinative factor as to who will be a leader. That's the whole point. It's saying there's something that is culture that's much more relevant to the conversation. How do we then alter our culture, wherever it is, in a given African country or a given Latin American country or wherever? How do we alter the culture such that everybody in that society and global society for that matter can benefit from everyone's talent? And for those who can get to leadership positions, they aspire to do that, to be able to ascend to that position, and to be able to succeed in that position, and that everybody will benefit from that. That's the thing that we're all trying to figure out here. Yes.
Thank you. I think that Dr. Joanna touched on what I wanted to contribute. That culturally, in Ghana, the advanced society, we have the matrilineal system. Women are powerful. Women are leaders. So culturally, women have been leading since. We have our pin mother system where the pin mother determines who will be the kid. When there's an issue at the college or when there's a conflict resolution, the last person to speak and determine the situation is a grandmother or a grandmother. Whatever she says is final. If things are going on, we are not able to come to an agreement. So let's go and ask a grandmother. Let's find out what she says. The women are powerful in that society. The children belong to their mother. She decides the rights for the home. So culturally, women have been leading since, especially in our culture as an African society in Ghana and from the matrilineal society. So I think as Dr. Gimama said, depending on what culture, what home or culture you are coming from, women have believed they are only looking at the political. I think they are limiting our discussion to the political leadership. But in every aspect of our homes, in my culture where I come from, women are powerful and leaders are the leaders, especially when it comes to our grandmother system, the grandmother. These are people that are from in the rural communities or wherever I come from, their economic power is the women. They go to the farms, they are farming, they are that powerful. Because the children are for them, and so they have to take the lead. They are breadwinners. They have to provide for the family. So now that we are looking at the political aspect, if you are doing this in our parents' homes, in our parents' culture, then you mean that women can actually also take the leadership position politically. So we need to.
Okay, guys, we'll make a point, Mr. D. Guy, and going to some of the hand for the time in. But the thing I want to say here too, though, is that so you are very correct there, and thanks for interjecting that point that we've been mostly sort of overlooking, if you will, in terms of women's leadership positions, like in families, as an example. But when it comes to leadership in state positions, that's when we find, obviously, there's been the fact that women have been at the judicial and the executive and the legislative branches, that women have been woefully underrepresented. And not just in government, but also in the other public spheres as well, such as in corporations. Women are woefully underrepresented in leadership positions, in the business world. Also, I don't know about it in your specific African country, but in a lot of places, certainly in the United States, the women are woefully underrepresented in churches. And church is a religion is a major institution of society. And you don't find church women in church leadership positions. That's right. Despite the fact that women do most of the work, they run the church. But in terms of the leadership, it's so regularly the man that's up there in control. So that's what we're saying here is that, and that's, and is that the, and that's universal. If you look around I would imagine, if you look around the continent, and at the university presidents, or you call them vice chancellors, how many of those are going to be females? Why not so many? So, and again, it's like when you look at it that way, society is losing out on some of the individuals who are females who are very talented and who could have benefited those organizations, and the citizens could have benefited from those organizations' better performance.
I just have a few points to contribute to this discussion. The first thing I want to say is number one, Africa is evolving, and we shouldn't. I feel as young leaders, we should start be open more and be more open-minded in some of the things we do. Now, first of all, I think we need to ask more questions about why things are the way they are. I will go to the Rwanda case he mentioned. Now, it's very easy or very safe for us to say, oh, Americans or the West is trying to put this ideology on us, also this and that, and cited the Rwanda case, for example. The question is, have you gone to Rwanda to see why it is that way? Understand? After the genocide, the women played a huge role. Understand? Because the men were killing themselves. The women had to step up. Understand? The responsibility to unite the country, to bring reconciliation. So they can't afford to leave the men in parliament to beat up themselves. So that's why they have more women in Rwandan parliament than they had any other place. So and also, I think one of the arguments which I find painful in all this discussion is that I think more African men are seeing women in leadership as a privilege. And I think that women in leadership, particularly political leadership, like let us go back to the parliament that you mentioned. Now, they were not there because they were women, they were there because they were voted. And that vote was because of merit. Okay? So people saw them that they merited that position and they voted them to power. Same thing too with female African leaders, the president and in Liberia. So for me, I think they got their based on their merit, not because they were women. And lastly, I think I just want to also comment on the fact that we should give men more opportunities if the opportunity comes. And women also should not be too defensive. Like what my sister was saying the other time about this particular person being whatever. Now we've had a lot of our speakers from the day that she mentioned. We had Lady Macaulay that also impeached. We had same thing too. So even for the petroleum minister that is probably doing the trial in UK and all that, we should also not forget that we had James Ibo's case. That was the man, and no nation wanted him jailed. So I feel like yes, in as much as we probably feel that women are being victimized, women should not be too defensive. Rather, they should step forward and do what they need to do.
First of all, I would like to apologize for starting the whole debate between me and women. What has happened. I must say that I respect women a lot. And if you close to me, you will notice that the love I have for my mother is like even 100%. So I believe this. Women are supposed to be given as much opportunity as men. Like from where I come from, in the north, I believe that after the marriage, women are supposed to just be in the kitchen and in the bed, they are not supposed to work. But I personally am totally against that. And I always preach that, hey, let them also be part of this thing. Let them be part of the system, let them work so that you don't have to, like, the pressure won't be only on you. You guys can be working together and be contributing. And I think there's a reason why God created it. Because if it's that it's just women, they are not going to make any important or they are not important, God wouldn't have created in the first place. Thank you very much.
One more. I'm going to the last slide. Are you both sure?
Thank you, sir, for noticing me this time around. The discussion has been very interesting, for me, and I don't want to trivialize the heavy issue of women not being included in governance and other areas. When we look at the 1960s or before the independence of many African countries and a little bit after that, we notice that leadership has been attributed to men because of strength. And when we look at the modern age today, leadership is looked in the area of competence, in the area of creativity, innovation, what you have to offer. And when you look at that angle, both men and women can step in to play that role because women also have acquired education, they are creative, they are innovative, and all other good aspects that can make you bring about positive leadership. Now, with the solution of all this, what women are asking for is simple. The men should give way so that they can come in. Don't compete with us. And the reality is that there's no way that competition cannot be, even amongst the men, they compete between themselves. So the women, if they want to come up with leadership role, not just the politics in other areas, they must step up. They must say, okay, this is us, this is what we can offer, this is what we are doing, so they can be recognized. They shouldn't just sit behind and then expect a very huge role to be assigned to them. It doesn't happen in any country, not in Africa, not in other communities. So they must take that step to show the men that they want to live, that they can live, that they have something to offer before they are opportunity to give it to them.
Now, this one might be even more sure with you. Let's check it out nonetheless. So maybe one way of like this is the last one from concluding here. That when we look at we can say that okay, those societies that have a higher baseline of women in leadership positions tend to be less corrupt. And therefore people will conclude that, that's the silver bullet. It's just a matter of getting more women in higher positions in government and in the private sector, and that in and of itself will take away corruption. But the thing is, though, saying, okay, well, look, it's kind of like people say, okay, when the rooster crows in the morning, then the sun comes up. It's like, okay, but we know that the crowing didn't cause the sun to come up. These things just happen, they correlate, but not as cause and effect, obviously. So looking further at this, it seems as though both female participation in government and lower levels of corruption tend to take place in a liberal politics. And with that, we're talking about in societies that are fairer, that are plural in nature, and have higher levels of tolerance, have more women ascending to higher positions, and have less corruption. They tolerate less corruption. So, so the arguments around just more women in and of itself eliminates corruption looks to be more of a spurious argument when you factor in this sort of, the politics context. And so rather than just the focusing only on the gender question, it's this matter of having an independent judiciary, fearless and public press that goes after scandals and malfeasance and the like, and corruption, and also having vibrant civil society. But by the way, though, when we talk about civil society, I think maybe the sort of definition doesn't quite transfer. The way I'm conceptualizing it, I think what some of you might have there about it. It's not a matter of saying like, the X, Y, Z civil society organization based on Independence Avenue, something like that. It's not just that, but it's talking about civil society writ large, having as part of the polity, where the people take ownership. Yes, there is a government, but this government is nothing special in the sense that that the individuals inside of their various organizations collectively have as much power, as the state, and has the capability of keeping the state in check. That's what, actually, we're actually saying. And it's not a matter of like civil society versus entrepreneurs. Uh, but instead, it's that even the civil society can actually have a role to play in helping, in terms of pushing government to support entrepreneurs, and from underprivileged communities, and to support more women to succeed as entrepreneurs. They can have more access to capital, independent just by themselves. Things like that is what we're actually getting at. So, bottom line is that maybe you're saying that the fair system maybe what is generating the next corruption, because those fair systems simply allow more women and more talented individuals, whatever the case might be, in terms of demographic characteristics, to rise into higher positions. And those societies, again, don't tolerate corruption as much as those more closed and autocratic societies. That's kind of a bottom line. Do we still have hands? We have one hand. Another hand has emerged. This is a new hand. Let's go with the other short hand first. The newest hand. Yes.
Thank you. I think what has happened over time is that in trying to weigh this issue of gender equality and all that, we've actually deviated, and what we started doing is tilting the scale to favor the women. You will see things like women are not allowed in government or in some specific positions, but nobody think about the fact that some of these positions are being contested for. For the fact that a woman wants to be, let's say, a senator, does not mean I, as a man who also want to be a senator, should not contest, because it is a position which someone is to be elected to. So if she has the power to talk to the electorate, to do her campaign, why not? So nobody should look at the House of Senate or the House of Parliament and say, this is the number of women there, because everybody has been allowed to contest. So if, for an example, after the elections there are 100 people and you end up finding only 2 women there, what it tells you is these are the 2 women who people voted for. So we should not wait for some positions to be reserved for us, like, okay, in this setting we should have at least 35%. Then all you need to do is, when, in whatever way you look at it, we get 35%. So sometimes the women should, and that's going back to what Jeff said, and just kind of throw more light on it. Some of these positions you need to come out, you need to show that you can do them, not to sit back and wait for them to be given to you on a platter of gold. Secondly, we're talking about leadership. Most times when we talk about women in leadership, nobody wants to go into some things that are, in quotes, stressful. For an example, like in Nigeria, how many female soldiers do you see fighting Boko Haram? You won't find them. You won't find them. In that case, when they are female soldiers, but when you go in such a place, you will see less than 1% of women there. But they are not complaining that we have only 1% of soldiers fighting Boko Haram. But when it comes to a political position, they complain about it.
No, see, let me ask you this question though. How many of you actually think that men have superior intellect to women? Nobody thinks that. So right. So go back to the previous speaker just a moment ago. And you didn't raise your hand, so that means that you also don't believe that men have superior intellect over women. You don't think that. Right. So if you don't think that, if you have only 2% of women in parliament, that says that society is blocking these talents from getting up there.
the real challenge for us, right? The real challenge for us is that, how is that we can organize society such that everybody can get organized in order to position themselves to ascend to higher positions so we can all benefit from their talent. Yes, you was right here, sir. Here you go. Here's my mic.
The thing is, you just said there are 2% of persons in the parliament, it means they did not organize themselves and all of that. But I beg to differ. Mentality, culturally, or I don't know, we believe that most people feel women should be there. Even on this day, as I've been talking now, some people have been saying, no, women should not be there. Women should be the leaders and all that. Even, not this way. But the fact is, the woman comes out and says she wants to be the president, let's say, for example. Because of the cultural belief, because of the mentality we have, most people will not vote for the person. It's not because she's not intellectually sound, but because why would a woman be there? Why would a woman lead me? That's the mentality. So women may go to say they want to become senators, they want to become this. But because of that wrong mindset that is amongst the populace, they will not vote the person in. So there is no fairness there in the process. So I feel if government personalities are saying that we should have a little percentage assigned to women, they are not wrong, because if you don't do that way, the women would not have the fair opportunity to even come out in the first place and they will get voted. Secondly, somebody was talking about Adam and Eve in the beginning. Well, God saw the need for women. And when he created man, he created woman. Then when we had stories in the Bible, so I want to bring examples. The story when Moses was meant to lead the Israelites. How was it that among the millions of persons, they did not bring out 3 men or 2 men? They made sure there was a woman there, and it was God who put her there. And so I think we should be able to understand that. And even when we go into biblically, disciples and all that, they were always women. We should stop this mentality of men always. We should balance it together. Thank you very much.
Which of them? These are Paul or Rico?
Are you serious?
Okay. Black and white shirts and hands here. Double hands.
Huh? What is that?
Thank you. There's no disputing the fact that women have the capacity and capability to fill leadership positions and higher positions for that matter. My friend here mentioned something that I just want to reply on the fact that women are mostly influencers. They spend all their energy sort of focusing on the job, fighting men who they think are disrupting them. Which, in any case, the man would have behaved the same way if it was a man leading them. So you just have to focus on the job given to you. And do your work. Rather than, if you are occupying the position for something, you are supposed to do a job. Any leadership position. You understand? You don't have to let yourself be distracted. Just focus on the job and do it. And you will be commended for that. Thank you.
These are going to be the last two. Hurry there and this one there.
We all agree to something, the fact that women have been marginalized. And that is what the even the men have agreed to that. Now, what I want to actually stress is the element of equity and equality. There are 2 different things. If we all agree, you said women should actually come out, it's fine. But when you say women should come out and contest, what are the conditions for contesting? Equality says we all should take the opportunity. Equity says give everyone the leverage as needed. If someone is short and the other person is taller, and you need both of them to get a particular height, who do you give the highest to? You give the shorter person the highest to, so they can get up and be on the same level. with the other person who is taller, they can get to the same height. That is what everything is. So what I'm saying, if the same way should be in politics and contest, and in political parties, what we are saying in Nigeria is political parties to stop holding night meetings. You know, to disrespect is even when they get to become politicians, we are still women. Even when they get to become politicians, we still have children. We have husbands. You are tough. You understand? These are our responsibilities as a woman. That's one. So you make the environment conducive. If you don't make an environment conducive for somebody, you cannot tell the person has not taken advantage of the opportunity.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, here the last one. Yes, go.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Actually, before I make my contribution, I am not here to, at this time, I don't want to compete with anybody, but I want to really look at the solution we should come up with as a group. Now, quite recently, I passed through a training on gender, and one of the key thoughts, school of thoughts I was able to, or lessons I learned, that we should look at women and development, and women in development. Now, women in development talks about seeing women in development as a privilege, or positions as a privilege. And women and development is, we are talking about giving equal or the same opportunity between a man and a woman. And that's what I think we should focus on. Because there are several factors, ingredients in a woman that I can't have as a man. And that's where we are looking at how we can tap into those ingredients and be able to better have her. That's number one. And also, I encourage that women should take opportunities, not be given opportunities. And it will come in this way. We emphasize that the girl child must be educated more. Get to the grassroots, locate the structures at the community level, see how we can empower them to take up responsibilities and name. And naturally, it will flow. If you have a wife, or a mother that is properly educated, look at her contribution in the world. She has that quality that you will trust and believe in. And that's what we should be targeting in Africa at this point in time.
One is the role of women as make achieve political action. We know when it comes to politics in Africa, women constitute the highest proportion when it comes to giving support and so on. I started to be connected with my part of the country, and even if there is voter apathy, you realize that women who have vote. Why are we not putting up our candidates? Why are we not supporting each other? In my part of the country, what has been realized is that even whereas a woman want to contest for a post or a political position, she is discouraged and insulted by women themselves. That's a reality in my part of the country. But another dimension is that how much are we men also supporting women? When you look at it from that angle, also you realize that we've not been giving them opportunity. Because, for example, if this guy is a married woman, she needs the consent of the husband, she needs the support of the family. But at family level, this person is discouraged. Now, like this instance of, look at the case of Joyce Bala, for example, in Malawi. It was men who really, frustrate her administration. That's a typical example. Men frustrate her administration. She has to step down. And the person just next to her was the one who masterminded everything that really, was her administration. But the question that I want to challenge all of us is how much support, how much environment, or how do we create the environment for women, aside from the policies and programs that are there?
Yes, I know we men have our shortcomings, but I want to a larger extent, we should look at the issue among women themselves in the political landscape. Women will prefer to mobilize their support for men than supporting their female family. Why not? I think we need to put that issue also into perspective. But globally, the trend of development is that it's not about women in development. I think gender has taken a new dimension. It was women and development, women in development, women and development. I'm not talking about gender and development. The reason for the quota system, I think somebody has just justified that, is that it has been realized that culturally women have been silent. We've not been given the opportunity. Culturally, they have been silent. As such, they could not claim for what they own. And that's the reality. I don't know, in my part of the country, that's the reality. They could not claim for it. Even if you go for a meeting also, when we put up the agenda and said, okay, have your take, just put a question to the woman. We said, okay, men have spoken already. I'm not satisfied. But how much do we also, men, would ask them, can you speak up? We want to hear you. Really, you see that. So I think the problem has both sides, and we all need to cooperate to be able to, move with the global trend of development. Thank you.
Okay, so thanks for that. So we're winding down here now. Again, so we're all sort of primed and ready for the debate. I can tell that. I want to kind of steal like speaking on the other debate. What I want to real for me was that again is that to emphasize about again for those who are going to be in leadership position is to not necessarily just seek information. Let's work on an open mind. Not just have seek information that conforms with your existing worldview. That's not going to, in other words, be just simply overly ideological and closed-minded. Not going to allow you to, be a really effective leader, and will prevent you from benefiting the people that you presumably want to benefit by, ascending to positions of leadership. So being critical thinker and open-minded are really paramount to being an effective leader. So on that note, we're ready to take our snack, and then I'm looking forward to the debate. Let's hear someone tell us what we need to be doing.
All right, so this morning has been quite exciting. Yes. So I can't wait for the debate this afternoon. We are done. And I guess the men have won. Just a couple of announcements. Number one, those who came in at the latter part of last week, those who joined us from the latter part of last week after today, please see me at my desk.